Hi, in this video I will be showing you how to use the VLOOKUP function. Um, the use case for VLOOKUP is if you have data in two sheets or two completely different workbooks, and if you want to look up to see if it exists, if something from one workbook is in another workbook, that's the use case. Or if you want to not just look up if it is there, but if you want to look up if it's there, like what is some more information about it. So let's take an example here for I have a sheet 1 here that has a score and a grade. So what this sheet says is that if you got a score of 100, you would have got a grade of A. 90 would get you B grade, 80 would get you C, and 70 would get you D. So this is a mapping. This is more like a mapping that say somebody has defined, and they're telling us that if you scored 100, it's equivalent to saying the letter A. If you scored 90, it's something like you got a letter B. So now let's switch to the sheet 2. I'm going to switch here. So in sheet 2, for example, I have my subject and a score, right? So I have three subjects here. I have English, math, science, and I have the scores I obtained in it. So in English, I scored 100. Math, I scored a 90, and science, I scored a 70. Now the question is, I want to know what grade this translates to, right? So I mean, imagine if I had hundreds and thousands of rows here. If I have to go look up for every subject between this, go check here, oh, 100 is an A, and then come back, and I could type in the letter A here. But that's a lot of manual work. So now, in this case, we will be using VLOOKUP. So what VLOOKUP will do is VLOOKUP will go look up this value 100 in the other sheet, in the sheet 1, and we will say return the grade that you see for that score. So the formula for VLOOKUP is everything again. When you're using formulas in Excel, you start with the equal to sign. If you simply start typing VLOOKUP, it will consider this as a string. So don't forget to add the equal to sign. Anytime you want to use functions in Excel, you have to have the equal to sign. So we put that, and then we write VLOOKUP. As you can see, it's prompting me already. I can just click on it, or I can continue, choose it, and then it tells me if you click on this, you can actually read the definition of it in look in Excel. But as you can see, it takes 4 parameters, right? What I mean by parameters are anything that is inputting into it are called input parameters or input values. So the first one it says is a lookup value. The second one is the table array. The third is column index. And the fourth is range lookup. But as you can see, it is in a special square brackets. Anything in square brackets is optional, and that's what it means. So in order to use this function, I definitely have to give three input parameters for sure. The fourth one is optional because it is telling me it's in a square brackets. So lookup value, now what we do here is it's asking you what do you want to look up. So lookup value, it's asking us to tell, okay, what is the lookup value. So here the lookup value is 100 because I want to go look up what is the equivalent for 100 in the other sheet, right? So which value am I looking up? 100. I want to see 100 on this sheet is equal to what grade on that sheet, right? On the other sheet. So the lookup value is the thing that you want to go find on the other sheet and match by. So I'm going to say B2, and then I put a comma. So that's my first input parameter. The second input parameter would be, as you can see, when I finish typing it and I put a comma, the table array is now in bold, right? So everything that I'm working on becomes bolded. So now the table array. So what it's asking is, okay, so we said what we want to look up. We want to go look up 100, but where do you want to look up is the second thing. So second thing is the table array that you want to look up. For that, I would keep the cursor hanging here and click on sheet 1. So see what happens when I click on sheet 1. You can watch the formula over here too. So I can click on sheet 1. So it's tracking because my cursor is still hanging in the other sheet, and it's just typed sheet 1 for me because it knew that I've moved on to sheet 1 now. So this is my lookup array, right? So this is where my lookup data is. So I want to come and look up 100 in this sheet, and I want to be able to get back the grade. So this is the lookup. For that, I select the range. And how did I do that? I just simply drag the cells that has my data. It could be more. I have to just, the more you select, the more you'll get. So I can just go with these 5 lines between column A and B, right? And then the third thing, it so we're continuing working on the VLOOKUP, okay? So you can go back now to the sheet, and then now we're continuing to fill this in. So it's saying, okay, the third thing is column index. So as you can see, the other sheet had 2 things, score and grade. Column index is saying, what do you want me to return once I do match on the key? So we want to look up 100. And where do you want to look up? You want to look up in the sheet 1. But then once you've looked up, what do you want me to return is the question, right? So we want to return, which column index do we want to return? So score column A is column index 1, column B is column index 2, C would be 3, D would be 4, and so on. So what we want to return is column 2 because we want the grade. We don't want the score. It can return the score, but then we're already looking up 100, and it's going to say 100 is equal to 100. We know that. We're not asking it to say 100 is equal to 100 and is in the sheet. We're asking it to say 100 is equal to 100 in the sheet, and what is the grade. So we want to return the second column. So we say 2, and then the last parameter, like I said, is optional. So in that you have to say true or false. Basically what that means is, if you say true, it will do partial match, and if you do false, it will do an exact match. You always want to use false because you don't, when you're looking up things, you want it to match exactly. There, I can think of many use cases where you would want it to just randomly match. Like what Excel would do, for example, if you say true, is like it would consider 3.9 equal to the same as 4 because it's doing an approximate match. So you never want to do that. You don't want it to say that 99.99 is the same as 100. So you want it to match exactly. That's why we always just say false, and then you hit enter. And let me see, what did I do wrong here? Okay, so yeah, when I was going back and forth, it entered the thing twice. But basically, that's it. So the first thing is, what do you want to look up, which is the value 100 that is in B2. Where do you want to look up? So you want to look it up in um, sheet 1 between the cells A and between the cells A1 and B5, and you want to return the second column because you want the grade, you don't want the score. So imagine if I change this to say 1, what do you think I will get? I will not get A, but I will get 100, the same value. So column A is 1, column 2 is B is 2, and so on. So I want B. So once you have the formula populated, you can always simply drag, and that will give you the will populate for the other rows. So in this case, it's telling me that 90 was a B, 70 was a D. So this is an easy way to use VLOOKUP. So let me just recap. VLOOKUP is very simple. Don't let it confuse you. It's just VLOOKUP, and then it has 4 parameters. The first one is, what do you want to look up? So what is the matching value that you want to match? It's basically like you have 2 rooms and you're telling the computer, from this room go find, there is an object in this room, can you go find the object in the other room? You know, the same thing. So you have, for example, 70 on this sheet, but you also have 70 on the other sheet. You want to be able to go find 70 and then maybe give the details about it, like what does 70 mean in the other sheet. And then the index, column index number is just referring to uh, once you match, which column do you want me to return. And false is just you always want to use false. It's the whether you want to do an exact match or partial match, but you always want to do an exact match, so you should say false. And that's it. I hope you found this video useful, and I will be recording more sessions on functions like substrings and length. So please do watch and comment on our videos. Thank you.